Hey y'all, welcome to the Path Illuminated. I'm going to be doing a collective reading for the full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo that is happening March 13th/14th, depending on where you are in the world. For the majority of folks, it is happening on the 14th, but I believe in many parts of the United States, it's happening very late on the 13th. So we've been in this eclipse energy, right? Just like any sort of moon cycle, the energies start to sort of pick up at least a few days before. But we're also in the midst of eclipse season, right? Venus is retrograde on the 1st of March, and Mercury retrograde will start on the 14th. And additionally, when it comes to eclipses, that energy lasts, continues to shift and develop and to, reveal things over the course of about 6 months, if depending on who you follow. And I've got my personal astrologist who believes this, and it's also like a time of fated events. And I bring this up a lot, and I'm very agnostic when it comes to my practices. I think you do what works best for you. I don't do any sort of rituals or magic during the eclipses, because I do believe that they bring in fated energies, fated events. And for me, this is a time of surrendering. This is a time for me to let go and let God. This is a time for me to trust what is happening, trust what the universe is revealing, and to really be the witness of that so that I can gather the appropriate information for how I want to move forward on a personal level. And obviously, like, this year has already been quite volatile, which is not surprising, right? Many of us have known that once Pluto fully moved into Aquarius in November, that things were going to start to drastically shift, and they continue to. My perspective is that these old timelines, these old systems of power, of hierarchy, of control, they are they're in the death rattle stage. What does that mean? That means this is sort of the last grab for power, the last grab for control. Now, nothing happens overnight, and this Pluto in Aquarius is going to be there for 19 years, right? The last time it was there was during the French Revolution. And there's just a lot of shifts happening right now. And I think it's been an interesting time for me, and I think other people, in the sense that, like, we've been asking for this change for a really long time. But it's one thing when we ask for it, and it's another thing when it actually starts to manifest. It can be really, really unnerving. And I was shuffling the cards here, and the card that popped out was Strength, card of Leo. This is all about finding the strength within, tapping into the strength of your heart. And something that's continued to come up for me personally, maybe you will resonate with this, is I have been required to lose my mind in order to tap into and to follow my heart. And that is what I think is happening right now. And the reason that I say that is that as systems, organizations, institutions, and timelines collapse, it's very unnerving for our humans, for our egos that are used to things being a certain way. And even if we haven't wanted things to be that way, even if we've been able to see where things are unjust and out of balance and not ideal, not really benefiting the collective, we can many, many times get used to the misery that we've been living in for a long time. Does that make sense? Another cliche is, people prefer the devil they know to the devil that they don't know. And what does that mean? Is that, like, things have been really, really hard, and many of us have been unsatisfied and challenged with the fact that we see, right, how out of whack things are, how things are not working, right, for the collective, and how so many greedy, power hungry people are causing unnecessary suffering because of their shadow, because of their empty souls, right? All of these things that we can go into. And so internally, and maybe even in our personal manifestations, we have been craving for this shift in humanity. Many of us, majority of us, I believe, want to see the highest good for all. We don't want the unnecessary suffering that comes from the way that things have been so out of balance. And so things are starting to shift because it requires a huge amount of the collective to actually wake up and to acknowledge what's happening, where so many people have had a certain level of comfort where they've been able to stick their heads in the sand and pretend like things are okay, but they're not. Now it's coming to a point where we can't ignore the fact that things are not okay, right? And that, again, can be very disruptive for our nervous systems, for our human, for our ego. And so it's going to require us to tap into the strength of our hearts, right? And to understand that we do have, right, the power within, the power of the lion. But we need to control that, right? We need to monitor that. We need to ensure that our passions, that our sense of justice, that our desire for retribution and rebalancing doesn't overtake our hearts and where we know it's leading us. But this is the time to understand that your mind is not fully equipped to navigate these times. It is going to require tapping into the strength of your heart. And that is also where, in my opinion, how you tap into your intuition. Your intuition is not in your mind, it is in your heart. And so if you are still trying to navigate what's going on through your mental capacities without tapping into what's going on here, it's going to be a much more challenging transition period for you. Okay, let's see what else the universe has for the collective for this full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo. I hope y'all are doing well. Sending y'all lots of love. If you're here, you're definitely on a certain spiritual path of growth, expansion. You're a spiritual leader, whether you know it or not. Okay. Of course, the devil has entered the chat, which I already mentioned. So the devil must have heard me talking about him. Yeah, the full moon lunar eclipse season is going to trigger the demons, right? Demons thrive in darkness. Demons thrive by hiding. Demons hide by pretending that they're not there. They want to be able to operate in secret, in hiding, without acknowledgement, because that's how they gain their power. But not only is this a full moon, which is illuminating, it is an eclipse, which means that any sort of illusions, delusions around what is going on, what is actually happening, is going to fall away. And I think it's going to take a certain level of strength to actually see what is happening, to be with it, and to witness it, right? It does actually take a tremendous amount of strength, right, to see what's happening when it's very uncomfortable and oftentimes scary, because it's like, yeah, so I want society to change. I want it to be more egalitarian, more equal, more balanced, more beneficial for all beings, for the highest good. But that also means that we are witnessing, right, how much thrash there is when these institutions are threatened, when these demons are threatened, when we look them in the eye. It's like I'm hearing that as long as we ignore them and pretend they're not there, they feel comfortable enough to keep doing what it is they're doing because they feel like they're going to get away with it. And now is actually the time to fully acknowledge what is happening. Now is the time to understand that the devil's in the details. Street cleaning! I love living in a big city where it's always noisy and triggering. The devil's in the details, right? And I've said this over and over again, like, unless we acknowledge what is not working, what is wrong, we can't fix it. So there's a lot of fire, there's a lot of burning down of old systems, of old belief systems even, right? Where we believed this institution, this government, this whatever organization to be on the up and up, and the revelations are continuing to come, right? So that we can really see, right, the reality of what's happening. Six of Cups. I'm hearing protect your inner child. I'm hearing tend to your inner child. And what do I mean by that? Oftentimes when things are triggering, we see the economy, we know someone who's lost their job, maybe we're threatened to lose our job. Our stability is our known stability, the stability we've come to rely on, even if we haven't been fully sort of like satisfied with it. It's threatened. And that can make our inner child very, very scared and put us into a place of feeling very unnerved, dysregulated, and triggered, which is why I continue to come back to this wisdom of like your self-care is imperative at this time, right? You need to tend to yourself. You need to tend to your garden, right? And you see all of these plants in here, right? Tend to your emotional needs, your emotional body, right? Because as things continue to collapse, it's going to be important for you to reinforce to your inner self, your inner child, that it's going to be okay. Are things changing? Are there going to be challenges? Yes. But let's take this one day at a time. Let's allow the unfolding and take care of ourselves in that process, right? Let's see what else is here. The messages are resonating for y'all. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Queen of Wands in reverse. This is going to be a time where our confidence is challenged. I said that at the beginning with the Strength card. As things collapse, as we feel sort of like, what is going on? How do I deal with this? Can I trust myself? Especially, again, remember, we're in Venus retrograde. We're about to move into Mercury retrograde. You very well may start to have challenges with following your intuition because the energy, because the information is murky, is muddled, is unclear. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. If you're not sure what decision to make right now, don't force it, right? This is a time where we're in retrograde. This is a time to be absorbing information. And what I'm feeling is that there's going to be maybe some sort of self-judgment about what you're not doing. Maybe you're feeling tired. Maybe you're feeling fatigued. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed and you're retreating and not being out and about as often and doing less. And that may trigger your ego, right? The ego very much wants to keep you protected. And sometimes when we slow down, that can sort of like trigger the monkey mind, right? Like, I'm not doing enough, that what should I be doing? You can go down rabbit holes of like, am I doing enough? And so I do think it's important to acknowledge that many of us probably are going to feel triggered at this time and start to question our place, start to question our purpose. That doesn't need to be a bad thing. Just try to stay out of self-judgment if you can. Give yourself some grace. Try to apply the grace that you would give to a loved one, a friend, a family member, right? When they're feeling insecure and they're lacking confidence, try to apply that same love to yourself, because why? Nine of Swords, there's just eclipse season plus retrograde season equals overthinking myself to death, going down the rabbit hole of worst case scenarios, trying to plan for every outcome, trying to see into the future even though we cannot. Again, the ego wants to keep us safe, and we appreciate that, but it can put us into a place of being very anxiety riddled and overwhelmed. And there's a way that we can acknowledge that without getting stuck in it. And I'm going to go back to the self-care. When you get stuck in your head, you need to move your body. If you can't let go of the racing thoughts of the monkey mind, get into nature, do some yoga, do some meditation, do some journaling, right? The best thing that you can do right now, honestly, is to take care of yourself. Your mind is going to do what it's going to do. You have to remind yourself that you are not your thoughts or your feelings, and not all thoughts and feelings are facts. They're thoughts and feelings. So that's why I'm saying, like, writing them down, writing down your concerns, knowing that they're somewhere, and maybe there's nothing you can do about it right now. You don't have enough information, right? You're not in a place of taking bold action right now. Is that bold action going to come? Yes, but don't force it, right? That's been another sort of piece of advice that I know it's very simple, but it's been coming through consistently from spirit, that like, this is not a time to force things. This is a time to flow. This is not a time to resist. This is a time to accept. This is a time to surrender. This is a time to allow. This is a time to be the witness, right? That's been a very, very strong message from the universe, right? That's way too many cards. Just want to go a little bit deeper with any additional advice from the universe here. Okay. So 7 of Pentacles reversed. Again, if it's not working, don't force it. Do not kill yourself. Do not overextend yourself. Do not keep watering dead plants. And that is actually going to require some strength. There may be situations, there might be people, there could be a country that you think, if I just work harder, if I just do more, if I just vote harder, things will turn around. And the universe is saying you need to accept what's happening. Stop watering dead plants. Stop wasting your energy. There are other things to be tending to, right? And it's not to force things that are meant to fall to continue. We have the Knight of Pentacles, which has been a recurring card. This is a time for you to fortify yourself. This is a time for you to prepare for what's next. This is a time for you to take stock, inventory of what's going on in your life. This is a time for you to be clear about, if I'm going to be prepared for the unknown, what do I really need, right? Who are the people that I need? What are the resources that I need? How can I make sure that all of the little details are taken care of, so that when it is time to move forward, when I know what action to take, I will be ready, right? There is so much that can be done around preparation, and that definitely 100% includes not just being with the truth, but also taking care of ourselves, right? Making sure that you're of healthy mind, healthy body, right? The Chariot in reverse. Again, we may I'll show it to you upright, card of Cancer. We may feel some angst. We may feel some challenges around wanting to take action forward, but not knowing how or when. And again, this is not a time to force it. Don't force it. Don't rush yourself. Don't push yourself. Don't force yourself to come to a conclusion when you're not ready. You're still in preparation mode. It will come. You have to trust divine timing, right? Like, nothing's going to happen overnight. And it's important to remember that energetically things shift before they shift in the 3D reality. That's one of the biggest challenges of being on this path, is that the energies shift before they manifest in the 3D reality. So you will feel that momentum, you will feel that drive, but you won't have all of the data or the energy to move forward. And that's going to be a challenge for you. Four of Swords in reverse. Resting is going to be important, but it's going to be a challenge because the mind is overactive. Don't shame yourself for the overthinking. Don't shame yourself for the insomnia. Don't shame yourself for the sleepless nights. Just acknowledge, give yourself grace, right? That there's a reason why you feel this way. Collectively, the energy is very kinetic. There is so much happening, right, on an energetic level. And our humans have a hard time keeping up with it. That is why I continue to say, right, self-care, meditate, yoga. The Hierophant reversed. Things are not going to be the way we thought they were going to be. The traditional way is not the only way. This is a time for us to think outside of the box. We get stuck in overthinking and a mental prison when we believe that we have to operate a certain way, that we have to do things a certain way, that we have to follow a certain path, a certain timeline, a certain trajectory that society, our family, our friends have told us. And the Hierophant reverse is saying this is going to be very different than what we're used to. We have to learn new ways, new methods, and it's time to let go of worshiping authority figures, of looking for a savior. The power is within, the wisdom is within, and it's not going to look the way we expect it to, the way that we're used to things looking or going, right? This is a time of great change where tradition goes out the window. We got to be willing to face our fears, to face our demons, right? And acknowledge that we have collectively been asking for this change, and now it's here. And how do we work with the changes energetically and otherwise? How do we show up to absorb the information and to act accordingly, and to act in an intuitive manner where we're connected to our hearts and we're not allowing our ego, our mind, to overthink us out of this transition, where we've been asking for the change, but when the changes start to happen, because it's not happening the way we expected it to or wanted it to, we're so afraid that we hold on to what we were asking to have changed and shifted in our lives individually and collectively. I heard, this is the time of F around and find out. And we're going to find out whether we want to or not. So it's definitely going to continue to be wild. I'm sending y'all lots of love. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the other side. Bye.